know that how do you say? You know, like when there's a game that you've played quite a lot, and you're kind of at the point where, you know, I know this game enough where I could probably keep rerunning it until I got a completely hitless run. However, it's certain things like Dark Souls 2 moment, you know, the hitboxes being interesting, shall we say, and you die right before bonfire is always fun. I don't know, I just feel like I'm at the point in this game where it's kind of, I mean, Dark Souls 2 in general is, I don't want to say it's an easy game, because it's not, but, like, just level adaptability. Just get to 25 adaptability and don't go over 50% equip load, and you will have no issues ever. Like, I could probably hitless this. Going the wrong way, aren't I? No. Fuck you. I could probably hitless this game if I really wanted to. It would mean a lot of resetting though, because I couldn't do it like first time straight away. But I'm kind of at that point where you know, I feel like I should just be able to just win. You know what I mean? But then sometimes you Dark Souls 2 moment and you roll attack rather than roll and attack. And he sort of does that. Like 16, is it? Or 8? I forget however many there are. You know that thing where it's like, oh, you can only attack in certain sort of directions. You can't just, you know, use 360 degrees because you're on a controller where that would be possible. Yeah, and then you just randomly die from it. Is great fun. And still, to this day, the only boss... I have probably died like 10 times in this game. Half of them were to full damage, obviously, it's fucking Dark Souls. But the other half, actually in this game, would have been actual bosses. But half the time, most of the deaths that I get in this game are just fucking Royal Rat Authority. I can never remember which one it is because it's a shit boss and no one likes it, and they only remember it for being shit. Plus also, I mean, like, playing this game on the actual Dark Souls 2 instead of just the shit version. I would like to see this game get, like, a lot of people say, oh fuck you. A lot of people say Dark Souls 3 Archstones, oh, it's Dark Souls 4 and shit like that. Do I have any? Yes. You know, they like to say that it's Dark Souls 4. I would like to see the treatment that Dark Souls 3 got. But just to Dark Souls 2. like even by FromSoft, you know what I mean? I would buy Dark Souls 2 sort of, I don't want to say Scholar 2, but you know what I mean? I would buy Dark Souls 2 re-envisioned. Because I genuinely think that this game is a lot better than people than people give it credit for. It does have a lot of issues. It's just that unfortunate situation where it's like, if you have a trilogy, there's always going to be one that people dislike more than the other two. That's just kind of how it has to go. You know, you're not going to get the best of the best every single time. But I would like to see just upgraded, improved Dark Souls 2. That's all I want. Okay, that's not what I was expecting. Who have I missed? Like, genuinely, who have I missed? I've gone... Can I double check? Can I? Because I've fucking used all the souls. Yeah, so it would be Royal Route Authority. Genuinely one of... Considering I've only played 2 and 3, you know, I have watched a lot of content on Demon Souls, on Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne. Haven't watched anything on Elden Ring, for the simple reason of I haven't played it yet, and I want to be surprised, kind of. You know, I mean, I want that that excitement of figuring shit out. But I have heard stuff about it, and it's like, eh. So what haven't I done? Have I not done... okay, yeah. Freya. Because I killed the fella's congregation. I killed Congregation. Not because I wanted to come this way, but because it was closest to Setic, which was used for one of these two. I know this game has, like, if you took the ideas from this game and just with the polish of Dark Souls 3, you know what I mean? I didn't do this quest. I can never be bothered. I will fully admit I'm softbound anyway. Yes, I am running around with the... Is it not this way? Cringe. Okay. Yeah, I am running around with 2 Esperado Lopela. I don't care if you can only get 1 per new game cycle, and cringe. Yeah, I don't care if you only meant to get 1 per cycle and shit like that. It's just like, I'll, no, this isn't the right way, this is fucking... Oh, I hate this area because I can never remember what the fuck I'm doing. Yeah, I normally just, like, go, oh, I want to, Isn't it down here? Yeah. Yeah, I normally just go, like through the wiki or something, it'd just be, oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah, I normally just go through the wiki and like, oh, that looks like a cool weapon to use. I'll use that one. And just spawn it in. It takes a matter of seconds. And it's like, I don't really care enough. You know what I mean? I can never remember. It is this way, isn't it? Right? Or is this just a room with a spider and a box in? Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've sort of played this game so much that, like, the extra mild annoyance that it would take to run through with, like, a normal rapier. Like, it's fucking Dark Souls 2. Rapier is just, like, the instant win anyway. Admittedly, you know, I was talking in a video that may or may not have been uploaded about looking at buying one myself, like an actual rapier. Oh fuck, do they? Yeah, and man, Basket Hill, Cup Hill, whatever you want to call it, looks so fucking ugly. And then the website that I was looking at, because it's England and there's only like 3 websites you can buy from. The website I was looking at, it just has such a terrible UI. UI, is that the right word? No. Has such a terrible like layout, whatever you want to call it. The out of stock notice is a tiny little line at the bottom of it. I am realizing that, yeah, this is Snake World, Spider World, and I didn't grab the bonfire, so I'm gonna have to do this first try, which, I mean, let's be honest, we're not gonna have any hitbox issues. I can never remember where to go though. Yeah, and when I finally, like, I messaged them, I was like, hey, I'm looking at these 2 things. I didn't realize that they were out of stock. The stock notice is, fuck you. Yeah, the stock notice is a single line of text, the same color, the same size, not even really separated very well. It's just like, it just looks like all of the other text, and there's like a load of text, and it's like I didn't notice that it was out of stock. But then I messaged them and I'm like, hey, how long for this to get, fuck you, back in stock? And they're like, oh yeah, we're looking at roughly 6 months for one and at least next year for the other. And it's like, cringe, don't do that. It's the only thing I kind of hate about power stancing in this game. Some of the power stance things I thought you were done. Yeah, some of the like movesets are really slow. Like, I could understand the maces and the other stuff, like, you know, great swords and and all of the big boy weapons, I can understand those being incredibly slow to power stats, but like, how come the rapier, you know, I can attack like 3 times for the same amount of damage? But yeah, I'm sort of looking to get a Boyalke Chen. Please don't do that. Yeah, more like the actual, you know, the item called rapier in this game rather than the class. I'm just gonna just fucking greed it. Who cares? Camera, please. Thank you. Man, when I first played this game, I bought it on release, and it's a head over there, isn't it? Yeah, that's what that is. Oh god, I didn't understand that rolling gave iframes. Because, like, I know it's, like, a key part of this game, but it's never explained. And it's like, what fucking sense does that make? You know what I mean? And so I played this game full tank, and absolutely hated it. And then, yeah, come and say your bit. Yeah, and when I played it, I was on my old shit laptop, and for some reason, the graphics in that game, sorry, on that laptop, like the graphics processor, it was so shit that, like that red orb, that's like the actual Great Soul, that red orb didn't appear. And so I got soft locked, and I had to look it up, because I didn't realize that, you know, all of that stuff just did not properly show. It's like even the, you know, this is what I would see to pick up an item. There would just be absolutely nothing there. Did I get any chunks? Yeah. Might as well upgrade it once.
I'll be around if
You don't sell any yet, do you? No. Fucking useless. Yeah, it took me quite a while to actually play this game properly. I think I just do that. As I say, like, once you get like 20, 25 adaptability, which, I mean, I guess it doesn't work in it doesn't work in Scholar, because they changed the drop. But in the base game of, like, in just regular Dark Souls 2, the like High Tower of Flame, there is the first enemy on that like circular platform, and then there's like a little walkway and then a set of stairs. In this game, in this version of the game, there is a guy on that little platform, a big mace fella, and he drops sublime bone shards. The thing is, normally, Dark Souls 2 moment, Sublime Bone Shards are normally in iron chests, which you can't respawn with ascetics. However, if you were to say, have an enemy that dropped a bone shard and ascetic that area, not only do you get a free Dragon Rider kill because it's Dragon Rider and basically impossible to die to him. But yeah, you get that free Dragon Rider kill, you get a bone shard, and then you ascetic the area, you get another bone shard, and another free Dragon Rider kill. You get 25 adaptability, and you get a fair few levels into whatever else. As well as a +2 Estus shard, Estus Flask even, which, admittedly, it's Dark Souls 2, it's borderline useless, but that's just what I always do when I start this game, which I could understand why people don't like it, but, you know, personally having that, it is almost like a difficulty toggle, with how, like, the differences between the sort of level of, like, base level adaptability compared to 25 or even 20, it just makes the game so much fucking easier. It is just a built-in difficulty toggle, and then you also have the difficulty toggle of, do you want to use the rapier or not? But a lot of people play this game and they have issues with it because they're treating, you know, they're playing it as though it's not Dark Souls 2, but Dark Souls 1, 2. You know what I mean? You don't give me anything. You know, they're treating it like you can just run by everything. This game, in terms of gameplay, is more like Demon Souls 2 than Dark Souls 2. You know what I mean? You've got the, like, having your healing tied to consumable, non-respawning items like life gems or grass. That would have killed them. You've also got the sort of, the way that it wants you to go in several different areas, sort of all roughly, you know. They're not quite at the same time, but it's not like Dark Souls 3 where, let's be honest, the game is linear. You know, there's a few times where it branches, but other than that, it's pretty fucking linear. I guess I was too far away for that guy. You know, it's just, this game is more like Demon Souls, and one of the things with Demon Souls is that, you know, everyone knows the bosses are the easiest bit. Oh, okay, you just wanted me to be here. It's like, if you sort of take your time, if you actually, you know, engage with the game. I mean, this is the guy that gives the fucking Esperada, but I forget exactly what it is. It's like Giant Lord or something like that. It's just, thank you. And you don't even fucking sell one. I want a another aesthetic for... Nope. I can never parry in this game. But I fucking hate these shield cunts. This is gonna be terrible. Dark Souls 3 parrying is extremely superior. Please just let me have it. I hate you. Please just thank you. There we go. Yeah, like, a lot of people, they... You know, they try and rush through the areas and they sort of expect Dark Souls 1, you know, that sort of fog gate immunity and stuff like that. They expect those sort of animation iframes. But it's like, well, the game is quite clearly telling you something. You know, the game removed those iframes for a reason, and it's to say, like, you know, we want you to engage with this game. You know what I mean? Rather than just be like, oh yeah, just run by everything. And the thing is, it's like, if you run by everything, you're sort of fucking yourself over in some ways. I will admit some of the bonfire placements in this game are, they sort of almost seem cruel. You know what I mean? Where it's like, do you really have to hide this behind the door? You know, I missed the first bonfire on my first playthrough, in the Forest of Fallen Giants. The one before that very first hide night. Yeah, I missed it. I just didn't fucking see it. Right, okay, thank you. But I don't want to open this door. You see, that's the thing about power stancing is, like, look at that. It just is objectively worse. There's a sentinel in there, isn't there? Yeah, that's a hammer. I don't... You know, you're a mimic? No. Sometimes I genuinely... That's one of the things about the mimics in Dark Souls 3, there's just too many of them. Whereas Dark Souls 2, they are cheaper, don't get me wrong. You know, Dark Souls 3, there's like skill issue. You know, you just didn't look at them properly, you didn't check. Whereas this game, it's just like, oh, bad luck, lol. But most of them are incredibly close to bonfires, so it's not as egregious. But this game, I routinely forget that they even exist. And that's kind of the best way to do it. You know, 'cause if you're thinking, like, if you're always thinking, oh, this chest might be a mimic, you know, you're kind of, like, fucking yourself over. Or at least in terms of game design, sorry. You're just... Like, if you train the player to do something, they're going to keep doing it. And so it's not really going to surprise them. Same time, I would prefer some sort of... I'm not even sure if there is in this game. There probably might be. But I would prefer, like, Dark Souls 3 mimic design with this game's frequency. I also completely missed Nishandra on my first playthrough. Admittedly, I was once again, I wasn't dodge rolling. I didn't understand that iframes existed in this game, so I was. I always forget this guy has a fucking a regular bow instead of a great bow. But yeah, realistically, like a lot of people say, like, oh, you know, Iron Keep, Shrine of the Mana, worst areas in the game. That's just where they go from being like a group fight of like 2 to a group fight of 3, and it's like, if this game is telling you that it's going to have group mob fights, and it's going to put fog gates in places where you have to engage with those group fights, if you're not sort of preparing yourself, if you're not like ready to do that, then yeah, it's gonna suck. And I will admit, Scholar made it worse by spamming a load of extra enemies, and they made a lot of the areas where it should be hard easy in comparison. You know what I mean? Like, because they added so many enemies earlier on, sorry, it's this way. They added so many extra enemies in the earlier parts rather than the, you know, the bits that where it would be best to add them, you know, like later on, or just a blanket addition rate throughout the entire game. Scholar it just looks so much less fun than the base game. The only thing that I would say is an improvement is just unlimited aesthetics, which the idea of using aesthetics in this game is probably one of the coolest parts about it, especially considering it's made for it. You know what I mean? It's not just, oh, bigger health bar, because that's boring. No one likes it. It's actual extra challenge and extra reward. You know, it's not just like, oh, you get the same rewards again. Half of the time they're, you know, increased in either quantity or in terms of like actual, you know, a shard will turn into a large shard or something like that, or a large shard into a chunk, or like the actual consumable souls, they just get better, you know, more valuable. And it's just like, I wish that this game was better received. Not because, you know, I think that it is worthy of a lot of the criticism, stuff like that. I'm not going to say that it's perfect by any means. I wish it was better received so that they would have taken this into account. You know what I mean? They would have gone like, oh, some of the things that we did in Dark Souls 2 are paying off. This might kill me. Greed. Once again, the game tells you they are like showing you, do not do that. But you can just do it anyway, because who cares? Yeah, I wish that it was better received so that it would have had more of an influence on Dark Souls 3. You know, rather than them all revert to more Dark Souls 1 type design, I wish that they would have kept it on. Oops. Lock-on moment. Yeah, I wish they would have kept it on. You know, being more inspired. I'm gonna run away now. Because I fancy my chances with you a lot more. Why are you there? Thank you. Yeah, I think this game had some really interesting ideas, and I think that they should have been explored more than, yeah. That was my fault, 100%. I just wish they would have been explored more, that's all. The question I'm asking myself is, how much do I care about that? And the answer is enough to run back and grab it. I could just go straight to Looking Glass. And the thing is, there's an Estus shard in that room in this version. I think... Actually, no, I think the aesthetic in this game... Oh, yeah, this resets, doesn't it? We don't need to worry about killing them, though, so... Goodbye. Yeah, Looking Glass Knight gives the Ring of Steel Protection +2. So that's like... You know, that's what I'm after. That's why I want Bonfire Aesthetic. It does only give it on... You know, New Game +1 cycle. Please go over the edge. Nope. I might. Or not. I'm gonna... Yeah, I was gonna say just sort of iframe through it. I don't like... Well, actually, one, I don't like that I completely forgot about that. Please stay there. Thank you. Thank you, Dark Souls 2, for being a brilliant game. Just fucking greed it. Yeah, there's certain things like you see even in mods. You know, people want to bring back the like armor set benefits and stuff like that. This is an Estus shard. I am almost certain of it. And I think, yeah, actually no, the aesthetic is just after Looking Glass Night anyway, isn't it? It's not actually. You know, it's not in the room with the embedded in and the actual key that we need. It's just sort of after him, which I don't know. I think that, you know, giving people the we didn't pick up any chunks, did we? Oh, we did. Okay. Having the ability to just sort of reset a boss and just farm it for extra souls, I think is really cool. You know, 'cause there's a lot of times in Dark Souls 3 where I'm like, oh, I've made an absolutely terrible build and then sort of stuck up against a lot of the bosses, and I'm like, you know, my build is terrible and I'm not sure what to do. I wish that I could sort of reset bosses and just, you know, even if they were harder, I don't mind. You still don't... You don't sell chunks until you kill Giant Lord, I think. But yeah, you see like a lot of mods, they bring back power stancing, they bring back, you know, they bring back life gems, they bring back, what's it called, like, not really aesthetics, but they give you the option to like resummon a boss. Especially in a game like Dark Souls 3, some of the most sort of memorable weapons are the boss weapons, and sometimes it's like, oh, there's 2 different ones, which one are you going to have? And it's like, I want all of them. But a lot of this, like in modding, there is a lot of sort of influence from Dark Souls 2. I just wish that, you know, FromSoft had the same thing. That's the only thing we need, but I can never remember what else is in here. I'm sort of remembering now that I completely forgot to give the shard in, but it's Dark Souls 2. Yeah, there's a reason why I can never remember what's in there other than the fucking key. Dark Souls 2 in general, the Estus Flask is not your primary source of healing, which is once again why I say it is more like Demon Souls than Dark Souls, which I don't know, I can't really remember sort of opinion on them. I think that Dark Souls was more influential than Demon Souls. But either way, it's like, this game is good, okay? Please trust me. Another one of the issues that I had, I'm sure there's something here. It's not this one, it's the one coming afterwards. I can never remember what it is, but it's something useful. Oh, it's upgrade materials. Fair enough. Yeah, I think that this game is... I'm not going to say the best one, but a lot of the time when I'm playing Dark Souls 3, I just quit when I get to Soul of Cinder, because I just don't find it enjoyable. It's just something about it of just the way that the phases, not phase, but like the weapon changes. It just kind of feels like that sort of, oh, you've just got to wait now. It's like if he pulls out a curved sword, it's like, yep, have fun waiting for a few minutes. And it's like, please, I just want to play the game. It reminds me of Archthrones, which I think is a genuinely good mod, but man, sometimes playing that mod was painful. Because it's just like, you don't even get a chance to play the game. This fight is going to be hell on New Game Plus, isn't it? And also, like, controversial opinion for Dark Souls 2, at least. Shrine of Mana isn't even that bad. It's not even the worst area in the game. Like, if you want to talk about worst areas in the game, Undead Crypt or Undead Purgatory, yeah, whichever one it is, the bit just before Vendrick, the one that comes after this, Shrine of Mana, is way worse. And as well, I understand, especially when it comes to where this game was in the terms, in the scope of FromSoft's just as people, you know what I mean, in terms of a game development studio, I fully understand the criticisms for it of like, oh, this doesn't really make much sense and shit like that. It's like, I get that. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. I'm just saying that, in my opinion, you still don't sell anything useful.
No interest. Is that a shard?
I will remember to give it to her this time. Just do that. Sort of worried about the fact that we've maxed out on life gems, but now give me the upgraded ring, which I'm not even sure if I can equip. We might just be able to. Yeah, I understand that, you know, coming from like Dark Souls 1, which just in general, the actual world design, the way that everything comes together and shit like that is, you know, worthy of a lot of praise. And as well, Kingsfield apparently is like the same. I can also grab these. You see what I mean? These change, they get better, they actually reward you for playing this at like higher difficulties instead of just being like, yeah, you get more souls and that's it. You know, I don't think I have ever played Dark Souls 3 and been like, oh, I want to go New Game Plus. You know, I will, if I want to play Dark Souls 3, I will just start a new game, just from a new character. Because there's no reason to play New Game Plus, it's just objectively not a fun experience. Whereas this game, I still do the exact same thing, but I will actually interact with the, you know, with the New Game Plus mechanics, with the bonfire aesthetics and shit like that. Cringe, range moment. Once again, really, you should just be using life gems. You know what I mean? Just don't use the Estus Flask in combat, especially in the DLC. The DLC in this game is hard, but for a reason. You know, that there's areas that everyone complains about, like Horse Valley, and people are you know, perfectly, I'm not going to say that it's a fun experience. The issue is, it's not meant to be a fun experience. The entire point of that DLC is to be a challenge. That was way too early, my fault. But yeah, I can understand sort of being like, oh, this isn't fun, because they're not the most fun. They are very, I don't want to say hard, but a lot of the times they're just unfair, unfun in that way. Whereas like Dark Souls 3 DLC is hard, but not really the same level of, I've got no idea why I didn't get hit there. You know, Dark Souls 3 DLC is also really fucking hard. You know, I'm sure that most people will agree that either Midir or Gale is probably one of the hardest fights in the entire series. Why did my lock-on just fail? Oh, this game, please. I'm trying to be nice to you. There are some things like that where it's like, oh, that could really have done with being telegraphed better, but... Man, this game becomes so much easier once you realize that Executioner's Chariot is just a free win. Oh, for fuck's sake. Executioner's Chariot is the single most useful boss to Ascetic. It gives you the currently ring +2 very early on into the game for a very easy fight. But like you can see, even in the humanity stuff, human effigy, you know, it's like they wanted to keep the demon soul system. I'm just checking, yeah. I didn't know if I'd accidentally hit something. And power stanced. You know, it's like they wanted to keep all these cool things because they're cool. You know, I think that hollowing it in this game is genuinely a good, you know, deserves to exist. You know, I'll admit that it can be a bit annoying sometimes, but you know, it's Dark Souls, you know, it's meant to be hard. Which, it is a massive cope. Dark Souls isn't hard. Especially Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2, I would say, is the easiest one. Simply because you can make it be the easiest one. Dark Souls 2 has the most agency in terms of difficulty. You know, Dark Souls 2, if you want to make this an easy game, you can do so. If you want to make it a harder game, then you can do so. I think that a big issue with difficulty in this game, especially as I say, as someone who suffered from this on release, is just the lack of explaining anything, which it's not exclusively a Dark Souls 2 issue. But when you have something... Invulnerability frames are never explained in this game at all. In this series. And I don't necessarily think that that's a bad thing. If it was more standard. You know what I mean? If rolling into a sword made more sense, I would be like, yeah, you don't need to explain that, but it's kind of a whack concept. Please just die, thank you. Yeah, it's kind of a whack concept, and it doesn't really make much sense why that would give you invulnerability. Also, I absolutely fucking hate being Grave Gauntlets. I hate doing that quest line. I can't remember if it's the second or third, but the part of it for Pate, that part in Earthen Peak is so fucking annoying, and I hate it. But yeah, I think if it was explained what iframes are and that adaptability is essentially just a difficulty slider, you know, this game would be so much more well received, I think. You know, I think that there are certain problems with it. You know, the congregation isn't a boss and stuff like that. And, you know, whether you want to complain about world design or not, that's up to you. I personally don't care because I'm not going to say that Dark Souls 3 has bad world design. I think it has good world design, but is, because of that, limited in scope. I don't know if that makes sense, but, you know, because it wants to be a lot more grounded, it's like, well, grounded kind of means boring. You know what I mean? It's that Kingdom Come Deliverance, where that game was so grounded, it was like, you know, why are you doing this? Just go outside. You're just playing real life. And it's that game where it's like, being grounded is good in some ways, but also in other ways, not so much. So this is the Ring of Steel Protection +2, as well as a shitload more souls. We could go and kill the Rotten, but I'm not going to. You know, and that's the thing, it's... What do you do in Dark Souls 3 when you're low on souls? You spend hours on Archdragon Peak just doing the exact same thing over and over again. When it's like, just let me respawn Ancient Wyvern. You know, I know that they have to have... sorry, we don't want to go past 50. I know that they kind of have to make it sort of hard to level up, if that makes sense. We might... I can never fucking remember these quantities properly. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, they have to make it hard to level up. Otherwise, everyone would just be running around way too overpowered. But at the same time, can just be a bit grindy at sometimes, especially when you're trying to do something dumb. And then we get to the worst area in the game that it kind of isn't. You know, I'll admit it definitely is one of the harder ones, but I think part of the reason why it's one of the harder ones is that in this game, it does want you to play it as a sort of... I don't know what the word is. You know, it doesn't want you to take 1v1 fights. In Undead Purgatory, or Undead Crypt, whatever it's called, I think Undead Crypt, it's quite easy. That Velstad room, you can... You know, you can draw them out one by one, and you can, you know, actually work through them and do that properly. That's another reason why life gems are sort of so crucial to it, just to this game as a whole. You're sort of meant to do that. You're meant to take your time, and that's what the Estus Flask is for, right? You're not meant to be in the middle of combat. You know, you're not meant to be using the Estus in the boss fight, really. You're meant to be using the life gems. The Estus is for like right now. You know, let's just say that I took way more damage there. It's for the in-between parts of the group fights. And it is, you know, completely fair to say that, oh, gank fight boring, and I'm not going to say that you have to like them, but thank you for the crit there. You know, you don't have to like gank fights, but you also don't have to play this game. And then, man, I was watching, I don't even know. I was just watching something on this game, just some fucking challenge run, something like that. And hello. I always forget that that's... The bonfire comes after the fog wall. Right here. Yeah, at this point, I genuinely cannot hear the words Demon of Song. I can't. It just doesn't, in my brain, that's not a name. That's not, those aren't words anymore, it's the other one. But yeah, I also, you know, speaking from a... Yeah, that was mistimed horribly. Speaking from, you know, when I first played this game, you know, this was my first Dark Souls game. First game that was sort of difficult in this way that I'd ever played. And, you know, I would die on certain bosses quite a lot. And the sort of enemy hollowing mechanic, I think that maybe that should just be a staple of the series, because it's genuinely a good mechanic. It's one of those things where Dark Souls doesn't want to be beginner friendly, but at the same time, you know, there's a limit. So why not just... Well, actually, I would say that Sekiro did it best. I would say that Sekiro's boss runs are the best, and that they should just be like the standard. But if they were in Dark Souls 4, if they were to have boss runs back like in Dark Souls, I would say that, you know, Dark Souls 2 maybe make it like 8 or 10 instead. It's such a good system for... If you can do it 10 times, you can do it 100 times. You know what I mean? This is... Yeah, I hate Felicia for that specific reason, because they always fucking block the door. This is the only area where this is the only part of Shrine of Mana where it's like really annoying. But even then, the issue with this is the ranged characters, which, you know, alright, some people can complain about. But at the same time, have you guys ever played an action RPG before? Typically, you know, this might be a shocker, but normally you go for the DPS people. Normally you go for the ranged DPS before you go for the melee stuff for the tanks. you know, if you take out these two, it is literally just a 2-on-1. And especially considering you have Felicia, a 2-on-1 in this game is nothing special, especially when you can just summon someone to make it a 1v1. But like, I know whenever I think like, oh, I fancy playing a Souls game or something like that, I would just always be drawn more to Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3. So I'm always like, I know that the culmination of Dark Souls 3 is Soul of Cinder, and I know that I'm just never gonna like it. I just fundamentally don't think that it's a fun fight. I will say, the worst part of Shrine of Mana, actually, is me being a fucking idiot, yeah. The worst part of Shrine of Mana is that cunt up there. I don't really want to swap any of those out, is the thing. I am hoping that Felicia will go and do that. That's why I normally... You just used the wrong animation there, my friend. Looked like you just fucking ate the Estus flask. Yeah, I hate this one. His attacks are far too frequent. Most of the time it's just like, oh. This is the part of the game where you use those consumables that you've been saving up. This is just the part of the game. This is the reason why you've been saving. That sort of stuff. And even then we still took damage from it, for fuck's sake. I almost said it. Demon of Song, which is coming up, is an easy enough fight that I don't think I'm going to get hit. But at the same time, that's completely useless for us. At the same time, I just don't want to risk losing any durability, so I can never remember what that item there is, but we don't need it. I don't care about you. But like, when I think of Dark Souls 3 mods, right? Sorry, yeah, Dark Souls 3 mods. You know, both Cinders and Convergence, which are probably the best ones, I would say. I'm not going to talk about Archthrones in terms of sort of quality, because it's apparently a demo, and so it's not really fair to compare them. But both of Convergence and Cinders take quite a lot of the unique mechanics from Dark Souls 2 and put them in Dark Souls 3. Because in retrospect, fuck you. You know, in retrospect, yeah, some of the mechanics, some of the ideas were really good. I like the variety in the world sort of layout, in the way that, you know, maybe not everything connects together perfectly, but just in the variety of things. Cringe. You know, especially when you like when you're in Heights Tower of Flame or something, or when you're in Majula, and you just see like, oh, isn't that Iron Keep over there? You know what I mean? Or like, oh, that's you know, that's God, the monument in Majula. I don't know if it has a name, actually. I just completely forgot that it was there. You know what I mean? When you sort of get that and just that like realization moment. Yeah, okay, this is a dumb transition. And a lot of the times they are kind of like this. And I'm not gonna lie, this is quite a lazy way of doing it, but they do sort of allude this is not how the world is meant to be. This elevator, it's not really meant to like represent an elevator, if that makes sense. If you look at if you go up to the monument in Majula and you look over to Hyde's Tower of Flame, you can see it in the distance. And if you look at some of the other things, you can see Freya World, Seldora. You know, you can see Seldora and stuff like that from Majula. But they're obviously so far in the distance that obviously you didn't walk that distance. You know, the idea is that these sort of transitions between you know, Shrine of Amana compared to Undead Crypt. I can never remember what the fuck it's called. That's just me, to be honest. Terrible memory. The elevators are a cop-out, yeah. In another universe, in a different game, that would be a cutscene. Or something like that. Or that would be a, you know, a press A to interact with fast travel. I just want to check that this will give me enough to equip the extra ring. So what are we on now? Shit. Sorry, what? Okay. Yeah, once again, that is pretty much doubling, and we do just about have enough. But yeah, you're essentially meant to, like, obviously, Iron Keep. I think that's what that is over there. Obviously, it doesn't look like that. You know, I mean, where's all the lava? You know what I mean? Or molten iron. I don't know what it's meant to be in the universe, but obviously you didn't walk all that distance. And so it's kind of telling you that, oh, these sort of transition areas are not actually representative of the universe. It's like, Hyde's Tower is all the way over there. And yet it would more likely just sort of be like above my character's head, like here, just behind this rock, you know what I mean? There's no way you walked all the way over there. But it's sort of, it's trying to force you into having that perspective without taking you out of the universe, which, you know, it doesn't work perfectly, and it does result in some abnormalities in level design, shall we say, but it's not trying to create the same level of absolute perfection that something like Dark Souls 1 was. You know, Dark Souls 1 was like, oh, you know, you can sort of go anywhere and you're like, oh, I remember this area and stuff like that. It's not meant to be perfectly interlinking. Shut the fuck up, no one cares. Cringe, cringe, cringe. You know, like, it's a limitation of the game engine. And just, not even of the game engine, just of the medium of gaming in general. You know, obviously you're not going to make the player character walk that far for nothing. But it's not terrible world design. You know, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's that sort of fuck off. You know, it's that sort of same like that same level of just internet. What? I think my controller might be dying. Yeah, it's just that same level of like internet moment where it's like, because one person hates it, everyone else must. And I can never remember which way to go here. I think it's this one. Yes, thank you. This is one of, if not the most annoying rooms in the entire game. Especially when you don't have a weapon like the rapier. Trying to do that with a regular weapon, especially anything large, which are normally like the coolest bits. You know, how many are there? There are, what, 7, right? Like, this is the game very, very clearly telling you to not do that. That's what the fog gate is saying. The fog gate is saying, stop trying to run past everything. It's not gonna work. Although you can't still do it. You know, they want it to be more than just a boss fight. And it does make sense, because, you know, sometimes in games it's like, oh, I've dedicated one person to defending, you know, the queen of the entire world. Or some shit like that, where it's like, yeah, obviously not. Obviously that would never happen. And so this is their way of sort of making it seem like it's more than just... It isn't just Vendrick defending this place. There's something more important here. And that's what those people are telling you. That's why they're there. That's why you are forced to engage with them. I think that one of the issues with this game is that there aren't as many super iconic boss fights as Dark Souls 3. I can't really speak on, you know, Dark Souls 1, Demon Souls, Bloodborne. I can speak to Sekiro. I can never remember if you explode here. I can speak to Sekiro and that sort of iconicness. However, comparing Sekiro to Dark Souls is idiotic. You know, it's like, you know, comparing Overwatch to World of Warcraft. It's no one's going to do that. obviously that's stupid. Just because they were made by the same people doesn't mean that they're ever going to be the same. You know, studios are allowed to make more than one thing. And I think another, like one of the big things that brings this game down, especially Scholar, is the end boss is just like lore. You know what I mean? Throne Watcher and Defender. That's it. Nishandra. You mean that one JPEG that we saw several levels ago that was incredibly easy to miss? And then Aldia, which we don't even get in this game. But oh yeah, Aldia, that one tree root thing that has randomly appeared and no one listens to its dialogue because it's fucking boring. But when you compare that to Soul of Cinder, I will say I dislike Soul of Cinder. On a mechanical level. But on an actual sort of thematic, you know what I mean? It's like there's a reason why there were 7 guys and the giant bell fella. There's a reason why it was being, oh yeah, and I forgot you arrived here. Because I always just home a bone out. Yeah, I think that this game, a lot of the boss fights are iconic for the wrong reasons. Like, I would say that the Aldia boss fight is pretty iconic. Shit. Fuck. No. Oh, bollocks. Hold on. How'd you fuck up drinking from a mug? Yeah, a lot of the boss fights in this game are really rather shit. You know, it's like when you think of Dark Souls 2 bosses, you don't really think of like all the really cool ones. You know, it's like if you ask someone, oh, what, you know, name a Dark Souls 2 boss fight, they'd be like, oh, Covetous Demon, Seaman of Dong, and Congregation. You know, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, the you do sell chunks now, thank you.
Visit me again.
You know, they're not going to be like, oh yeah, the Ivory King and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, and for good reason. This one, isn't it? You know, when people think of boss fights in this game, I also like when you warp here, there's a reason why it points you this way. This is... I would maybe do this area a bit differently. You know, I would maybe have, say, the King's Door be you know, a bit closer. And I would also have this area in general be a bit bigger and better. And I would also just completely remove the King's Ring. It doesn't even say. the only benefit of the King's Ring is like it's a tiny damage boost to exclusively fire weapons, I think it is, or something like that. Like the King's Ring is equivalent to like 1 level up. It's like, yeah, it's really not worth it. I just wish that it was something in your inventory, you know what I mean? But like, it's easy to be negative. It's easy to be, it's easy to say, oh, why isn't this game better? But this game isn't. It's not that bad. Promise. Please, just don't play Scholar. Play Scholar if you played regular, like if you played this version and were like, too easy, then play Scholar. That'd be really cool if I had any reason to stay and watch it. How much I wish I could have the how I wish I could have that infinite aesthetic farm. I will also say some of the hidden bonfires in this game are really fucking annoying. Is it even this one? I think it is, right? Yeah. So it's just a bonfire here. It's the same thing as Dragonlight Castle. I don't really think that that's... You know, I mean, I can say that, oh, I like this area because... You know, I like having the differences in level design. I like having it be super varied, but I will say that level design in that sense is just shit. I also think that I don't think that this is a bad boss. I just think that it's bad location for it, especially in Scholar where you've already fought this enemy. Like I don't want to say I would make the Hides dragon. I'm not going to say that I would make it a boss because obviously its location would be terrible for that. But at the same time, having it that sort of rough area of the game, you know, having it be early on would be much better than having it here. You know, I mean, like, imagine this, just like this game with Dark Souls 3 levels of polish, I think would be genuinely a better game. I will say, those attacks where you just get locked in them are bullshit, 100%, and I will never defend something like that. I don't know, I'll just forever say that this game is... It's one of those games where I'm not going to say it's wrong to hate it. I'm just going to say that a lot of people hate it because internet told them to. You know what I mean? A lot of people hate it because circle jerk moment, which is 100% not exclusive to this game. You know, there are so many games I could point to and be like, people don't really hate this for any reason, they just hate it because everyone else told them to. And then there are games, Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon or Gates to Infinity. Take your pick, because they are the same fucking game. Those everyone likes, and they are dog shit. And no one actually likes them, it's just because, you know, people have sort of said, oh, you should like these games. You know, there's like a spectrum, right, of if you never listen to people, right, if you never allow people to like, if you never take into account people's viewpoints, like other people's viewpoints, then you're doing something wrong. But at the same time, if you like hear one person's viewpoint and go, yes, 100% I agree with that, just like straight away, then that's equally as bad. I will say that this elevator should have had way less bars so you could actually see the scenery properly. And this probably should have been a bit more of an open area, but, you know. Like, some of the scenery in this game is like, this is a cool shot. You know, and they definitely knew what they were doing. You know what I mean? That it's like the same reason why that Shaded Woods, that Forked Road bonfire forces your perspective to be towards the is it Shaded Woods? I don't know. I also apparently there's a ladder here somewhere. Yeah, I mean, and I don't believe there is. Like, where ladder? Here? They're definitely ladder, but like, how get ladder? I don't know. It might just be a scholar thing. Don't get me wrong. I definitely think that this game, this area, it's brought down by the fact that, you know, the fact that you've just fought all of the enemies in this area. Like, hello again. But yeah, I think it might be a scholar thing where they're just like, yeah, we get it, this area kind of sucks. But feel free to skip it. No, it's just one of those games where I'm very much one of those people where, like, I will listen to someone's opinion, but if their opinion is very obviously Reddit told me to hate this thing, if that's not like their, you know what I mean? If they're basing their opinion off of like circle jerk groupthink shit, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, with all due respect, I'm I'm not gonna listen to you. And most of the time when someone is like that, it's like, yeah, I'm just gonna ignore you. This guy is, if you are doing a 100, fuck you Dark Souls 2. If you're doing a 100% run, kill that guy. I'm fairly sure he drops. Holy fucking shit. Oh, Jesus Christ. I don't know if you heard that. It was the radiators coming on. And it sounded like someone standing on a cat's tail. But yeah, sorry, that... like, genuinely scared me for a minute there. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, I forget exactly what he drops. I think it's the Thunder Clutch Ring, or whatever it's called. There is, I believe, in this chest, is more aesthetics. If you're having trouble with this game, one of the big... Yeah, 3 of them. One of the big sort of tips that people give is farm Giant Lord. Don't farm Giant Lord. If you're having trouble with this game, don't go and farm Giant Lord. Mostly because he has... You know, if you're using the Seldora set, which you should be, if you're using that set, then you are probably gonna get one shot. Even if you have the sort of... Yeah, it's the one after here. It's the Mimic. God, what's it called? The is it Nar Alma? Something like that. That set is... I would say, you know, for someone who's actually full on having trouble with this game, maybe the better set to use than the Seldora one, but yeah, if you're having trouble, just don't farm Giant Lord, farm the Rotten. It's just an easier boss, and you might as well... For fuck's sake, I'll just kill the Mimic quickly then. Yeah, Giant Lord is an endless farm. You know, it has an aesthetic in the arena. So you spend an aesthetic, you get an aesthetic plus the farm. And so really you should, you know, just spend the aesthetics on the Rotten and only, you know, farm Giant Lord once you've used all of the aesthetics on the Rotten. One thing that I will say I despise about this game, I was doing a Katana power stance playthrough. Not the last time. The last time I did the Mythos Poison plus Toxic and Bleed whatever. I think it might have just been double Poison Toxic. That Mythos Bent Blade or something like that, the dagger power stance with itself. The time when I was doing the Katana one, I died because that guy fell on me as I killed the Mimic. And the Mimic item despawned, which was the Washing Pole, which is not the best, but one of the best katanas in this... fucking love that animation, so fucking goofy. Yeah, I think the Black Steel Katana is the best one in the entire game, but I fucking hate this guy every single time. I hate this guy. He's so quick too, is like another one of the issues that I have. I believe you're just like a lingering ring on you. Yeah, third dragon ring is what I mean, like extra spell time, I believe. Or it could be something else. We have another NPC. I wonder if maybe wow, he seems weak to wow. I never knew that maybe NPCs would be incredibly weak to R1 spam. I don't want to equip. I don't know if that's the actual one. Now that I think about it. I can't remember. There is a shield somewhere around here. Is it you? No, it's not even you. There's one of the shields that gives extra stamina regen. Also, the reason why I go down that way is once again because this game wants you to have group fights. It is balanced around having those group fights. And if you can have a way to just be like, if you can just ignore the group fight, then obviously that's going to, you're just fucking with the balance of the game, essentially. You're just making it easier for yourself. And so that's why I go that way, not because I care about the Dragon Covenant or anything like that. It is solely a way to make these actually still pretty difficult enemies much easier, because you don't have to worry about a 2v1. And then this area is also kind of annoying, especially if those guys catch you. But if you can run by them, these ones normally are not a problem unless they hit you with that fucking goofy animation shit. And the issue now is that, call me cocky, but the reason why I didn't go and spend the Guardian Dragon Souls is because I thought, not gonna die here. I will say that coming this way is definitely something that you always want to do. Trying to fight like that double fight, that one is always annoying. It is even worse if that guy is still shooting at you. But like, once again, there are small little mechanics in this game, like the fact that the doors reclose, that is telling you that they want you to engage with that fight. I'm not going to, because I got the chance to run by it, but you know, this game is, yeah, all right, it got stuck in game dev moment, but you know, there's still people that put a lot of time and energy into making this game, even if they're never finished making it. You know, they're trying to tell you that they don't want you to just run by everything. I will say that this is the worst boss in the game. You know, I joke about Congregation, and I joke about Covetous Demon, but Ancient Dragon is... Ancient Dragon feels like, you know how they had Asylum Demon? No, not Asylum Demon. Oh god, what's it called? The one that isn't Asylum Demon. Is it Vanguard something? The Demon Souls one. You know what I mean. So we need 5 more of those. And a slab, hopefully. That's just going to do so much more for me than leveling up at this point. I also like... I know I very obviously haven't used it. I like this. I think that this is cool. I think that this is a good system that they should have kept. Because I like it. You know, admittedly, it's not doing much for us, but... You know, if you upgrade stuff as much as possible, it is genuinely worth doing.
Until...
Just give me more endurance. Give me 1 more endurance point, please. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be able to reach the 1, 2, 3. No. I'm probably still a fair few levels off of that. What I want is 3 attacks and then a roll. But even then, it doesn't really matter because you're not really ever going to get that many. I'm not going to bother with Vendrick or anything like that. This is another Dark Souls 2 moment. There we go. It's kind of strange because sometimes this game is surprisingly accurate. When you look at stuff like halberds and all that sort of scythes and stuff where they have that sweet spot mechanic, the hitboxes are actually maybe a bit too precise with how much the damage varies, but things like that, where it's like, another one is the chariot. Trying to fight the chariot, Executioner's chariot, with a rapier is painful. But yeah, this is what I mean. If you want to farm Giant Lord, you get a free ascetic for every farm. That giant might die from that. We also might as well. The only thing you have to be worried about is sometimes he will do this attack. Yeah, see, this is why I dislike Giant Lord. I dislike him because a lot of the tells for his attacks are simply too high up. You know what I mean? It's why when you look at bosses in these games, a lot of them are either sort of square or they're wider than they are tall. Because so is my computer monitor. And a lot of the ones that are quite tall, normally they will force the perspective and they'll like force you to zoom out. The reason why I don't like Giant Lord is because those attacks where you can't really get a proper tell for it because of the camera, a lot of the time those ones, you know, they come from off screen, you can't really see them properly, and they one-shot you. And so it's just a bit unfair. The question is, 10 minutes, 2 bosses, easily done. I'm not going to kill Vendrick, because I think that Vendrick's fight is very similar to the Ancient Dragon, in that it's kind of just a gimmick. You know, I mean, I don't think that it's just another guy. Everyone is just wearing the Seltorn set for a reason. Oh, we're probably like 1 level off, which, if we're being honest, we would probably get the 1 level that we need to do 3 attacks and then roll. We would probably get that from killing Watcher and Defender. I will say that putting a guy like one of those guards, it happens at the Shrine of Winter, I think it is as well. I think that putting guards here, I mean, you can see like people have died from this, I assume, or is this just one of those? No, he is actually, but like, no one likes you. Fucking seek lest some bitches, you cunt. Yeah, that's what I thought. I think that this run back is, I would say, maybe here would be good. The biggest issue with the run back is that the King's Gate closes. It's not a King's Gate. You know, I think that replacing, like, if you die and the King's Gate closes, I think maybe replacing it with an open King's Gate that has a fog wall. Something like that, rather than just have fun with your inventory management again. I also think that this is kind of dumb. I have never spoken to Vengal. I ran straight through Shaded Woods. And I never spoke to Benhart. And I killed Hall Woman. I killed her like right in front of him. I didn't even speak to the woman. I was just like, instant death for you. Like, I get that Dark Souls 3 has the exact same thing, and a lot of the times I feel like it's unearned as well in Dark Souls 3. But I feel like this does kind of cheapen it, and I know it's optional, but like, come on, there's only 5 minutes of this recording left. Once again, for anyone who hasn't watched any of the Halo Wars videos, or any of just like the other videos in general, my recording software has a safeguard, whatever you want to call it. It has a sort of intentional feature where you can't record over 2 hours, because it just assumes like, oh, you must have just left it on if you're recording for 2 hours straight. You know, because like, real is what you think someone's gonna listen to a 2-hour unedited. Fuck you. I think it's especially important in this game. It's also important in, you know, all of the other games. Aside from Sekiro, actually. Sekiro is like the complete opposite, but positioning in this game, I think is probably one of the most important skills. I can't escape that, can I? I always forget which one is the one where you can escape that sort of stuff. I think it's Dark Souls 3. Like, there are certain attacks in Dark Souls 3, like grab attacks. There are certain ones that you can escape by mashing all of the attack buttons all at the same time. You ready, Bernhardt? Ready for fun? I don't think I've ever watched those cutscenes. Bernhardt is going to instantly die to curse. I'm going to be honest. And I might too. Yep, as I say, instantly died. I'm just going to fuck off with your cunt orbs. Yeah, I dislike Soul of Cinder. Soul of Cinder is a better end boss. I will fully admit that. You know, I'm not going to claim that Nishandra, like, who cares? Who asked? No one likes you. I would say go home, but you're already in your own castle. That should have been the end of it. If the hitboxes will stop being Dark Souls 2 moment. This might be the end, depending on crit luck. Nope. And we still missed a load. That's one of the, like, rapiers are absolutely the best weapon in this entire game, aside from the hitboxes. And fun fact, in actual Dark Souls 2, I can't leave. There's no Aldia, which realistically is a benefit. There's also no option. If you warp out, you just have to come back and run here. And then you get the unskippable credits, which oh yeah, fun fact, base Dark Souls 2, the credits still say that I'm playing Scholar. You saw video evidence that I'm not playing Scholar because Aldia and Nishandra didn't. No, it is Aldia. Aldia didn't show up. I'm clearly playing base Dark Souls 2. But the credits, they still say Scholar. So I just press here. Fun fact: you can just press Alt F4